I know I said I'd be doing less FNF content, but this was a fun video experiment because I wanted to dive into character designing videos, so... Ciao a tutti nell'internet! FNF D-Sides V3 is out, so whoop-de-doo! I want to make a video about it. Just kidding, I didn't, and I didn't really care. What I did care though was Nonsense V2. Totally not because I worked on it. Anyway, since those two mods released at the same time, that wasn't intentional, I thought, why not make D-Sides nonsense? Good in concept, bad to start. So why did I get stuck on the planning process? Well, D-Sides has a peculiar way of designing their characters, especially those from other media, like Pico, Tricky, Mighty, Zardy, and Purple Guy. I tried to study it, but to no avail. I bothered my friends on how D-Sides designing would work, and RJ from the mystical Myst mentioned that Tricky, Orpal, and Zardy were all given the second best thing, since not much is known about their character, background, or obscure media about the character. However, Mighty and Pico have a different story. Mighty was based off of Sonic's design before Sonic, and Cyclops is a lesser-known character in Pico's school. Both characters were based off a lesser-known thing in their respective medias. And I was like, oh. Then I stabbed him and took his teeth. Nah, just kidding. I stole those concepts and ran with it. So going off that, I based D-Sides Nonsense off of a lesser-known obscure fact of the Nonsense NH's channel history. Before there was Nonsense NH, there was Luigi Bros.64//gaming time. Yes, that. I told you check it and mess with Clark, but unfortunately, he deleted it and it no longer exists. Trust me, I looked. He even drew his old mascot in a tweet once, so I took that and ran with it as far as I could. No turning back! What I used as a reference for this design was the FNF version of Nonsense instead of the YouTube mascot, simply because it's D-Sides. With that in mind, I drew up the draft of the design before I made the final. I gave him the Luigi hat, green shirt, and overalls as a callback to the channel, but I nonsensified them, if you know what I mean. You can see I added an NH on the hat to replace the L on Luigi's hat, but then I removed it since it looked way better in the final design. I changed the overalls to brown to match his pants, and I made his hair a darker brown, and unfortunately removed the swoop-de-swoop thing on his hair. It was for simplicity's sake, plus it looked better, I'm sorry. And the draft is done! By the way, do you guys like the new art style? I'm really happy with it. For the final design, I kept majority of it the same, but this time I added pockets to the overalls to further reference the pants in the original design, and emphasize the buttons even more. I removed the lettering from his hat and made it plain. I also changed up the pose so I can design him better. Not much I could say about the final design since practically it's pretty much the same as the final draft. And here he is! D-Sides Nonsense! I forgot to record the process, but here's his Godsense form. I originally gave him the Fire Flower power-up, but Nonsense himself suggested the Invincibility Star. I thought it fit, and it gave a better excuse for the glowing yellow eyes. Now, I was gonna end it here, but it would be too short of a video, and I want clout. Please subscribe! So I turned back to the Nonsense mod and chose to redesign Nonsensica in D-Sides. I didn't want to just make D-Sides Nonsensica just D-Sides Nonsense, but with Nonsensica's features. I decided to overhaul her entire design. While designing her, I was stuck on what to do with the replacement of her overalls, until Nonsense himself, once again, suggested to take inspiration from one of his OCs, Bagel, since FNF Nonsensica has a similar personality to Bagel. That's when I gave her a skirt overall thing inspired by Bagel's skirt with suspenders. I further swapped the pants with long socks and changed the shape of those shoes. I changed her high ponytail to a lower and shorter ponytail, and switched out the yellow hair tie for a green one to tie the design all together. Draft done! On to the final design! In the mod, it's been confirmed by Nonsense himself that the characters, Nonsense and Nonsensica, don't actually know about each other's existence, despite being next-door neighbors. They aren't even blood-related either, even though they look almost exactly alike down to their clothing choice. What about 2 cents then? It's been confirmed by Nonsense himself in private that the song is not canon. The song was only kept in the mod because it was cool. I mean, Hugenate did a good job. While finalizing D-Side Nonsensica's design, however, I thought of some story to the characters than just a simple D-Sides redesign for them. Disclaimer though, the story is exclusively to my D-Sides rendition of Nonsense and Nonsensica. Don't take this as fully canon unless it's approved by Nonsense himself, I guess. So, in D-Sides, Nonsense and Nonsensica are twins, and even if Nonsensica has the free will to dress however she likes, she chooses to match with her brother for fun. This helps explain in-universe why their designs are heavily similar and why they look alike, rather than just, oh, it's Nonsense but a woman. And D-Sides Nonsensica is done! Oh, and don't forget,
I'm 14! Shut up!
and there we have it! D-Side Nonsense and Nonsensica. I had fun designing them and coming up with a little background for their characters. I want to try and make more videos like this, so if you enjoyed, please tell me in the comments. Plus, it helps my videos get boosted out there and not drown in the sea of YouTube content farms. Sleep well, eat good, drink water, and don't die! Arrivederci a tutti, alla prossima!